Sactown Sports.
It could be a parade in Sacramento if Ja Morant comes on over, and if you are not grabbing that reference, that was when Ja was, he was going to be the face. This is when he was grittying. When's the last time Ja grittied?
3 years ago.
Ja was, and by the way, and Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase still grittying, but Ja was grittying 3 years ago, referencing NBA YoungBoy.
It was one of the coolest things ever. He hit a buzzer beater and said, "There's a parade inside my city."
And all those years later, this is when they were a dynasty, according to some of the Grizzlies players. And
they were trying to take down the Warriors.
Yeah, all those years later, they are without, I guess, two of those core guys in Dillon Brooks and Desmond Bane. It's just Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr. left, and it has not looked great so far. Basketball-wise, it's been fine, but Ja not loving the new head. There was a different head coach at that time, and, it is always something when you come up with a certain coach, and then that coach does get moved. We didn't really know how Ja felt about it. Obviously, he's had his on-court stuff as far as injuries, his off-court stuff as far as Instagram Live and other situations. So one of the most polarizing players in the league, and we just saw a report from Shams that there has been tension between Ja Morant and the head coach, who they just added, Tuoma Sisalo, over the past several days, and teams around the league are monitoring Ja Morant's situation in Memphis. We had the end of the season happen, and it was either the GM or the owner, somebody with the Grizzlies said, "We're not moving him." So, yeah, I'm sure that's what everybody would like. And, those calls started to come, and then they started to go away. Then moving Desmond Bane, I think, maybe signaled some things. Who knows if Ja wanted them to do that? Ja is not a great three-point shooter. So when you remove a three-point shooter, I know KCP can shoot in theory, and he's great defensively. But, the core is done. If we were looking at that Grizzlies team the same way you looked at the Beam team, it's basically the same amount of players left, right? And I don't know if they had a coined a term for that Grizzlies team, but the dynasty, we'll just call it, that dynasty Grizzlies team that was battling with the Warriors and all that, that's over. That is over.
I'm not scared of anyone in the West Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's over now. So they're trying to figure out their new identity. Ja missed time last season. Jalen Wells played really well. Then Ja came back, and Jalen Wells didn't get to shoot as much. So there's just a lot of confusing storylines with the Grizzlies. And now they have to decide, all right, are we going to stand on business and just hold on to Ja because everybody thinks we're not going to hold on to Ja, or should we just sell? I would say this is probably the highest his value is going to be. I don't see it getting any higher. And I know they just had the thing with the head coach and Ja, but we're talking about Ja Morant. So there could be injury. There could be another situation off court. I hope not. He's 26 now. He's not a young kid. But any of that stuff can happen. So with that being said, you have to start looking. It's almost like a quick sell. Right? Those houses that you immediately flip and you're just trying to make your money, right? Or the bank is looking to grab it. So it's just a very quick sell. There's not too much behind it. You don't need to pretty it up the way that you would want to if there was more time. You just want to get as much cash. Hey, just give me the cash. Here you go. Let's just get it. You see those commercials. Oh, we'll just give you cash for your house at 2 a.m. when I'm up with baby number 2. This is what they're probably trying to do with Ja Morant. Because anything can happen with Ja. From on the court to off court. That's just the reality. That's not me being a hater. That's just me looking at the timeline. So the Grizzlies are clearly, if they are going to act on something, they probably realize his value is not going to go up. They already missed that, right? When it was a parade in his city and he was grittying, that's when his value was the highest. And clearly they weren't going to move him at that time because obviously they were balling and they thought they were going to do this for a very long time. Now that they decided to move off of Desmond Bane, they did not have to, right? Dylan Brooks, yeah, you can find another Dylan Brooks somewhere. I'm not saying that you can't. They had Tyus Jones as the backup.
So here, Allen, I went back. So this is the infamous March 3rd, 2023 game. The Grizzlies were the 2 seed at the time, and this was where after the game, Ja Morant first was flashing the gun in the nightclub in Denver. That game, this was the lineup for the Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Xavier Tillman, coming off the bench, Santi Aldama, Luke Kennard, Tyus Jones, and Jake LaRavia.
Squad. That was a squad.
And the only ones left are Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Santi Aldama.
Dang. That was a squad. And now...
You're the 2 seed.
Yeah. And now with that all being said, Ja Morant his name has been thrown around. And of course, because of course this name has come up, people are wondering if the Kings are interested. And according to some of the betting odds and futures, depending on who you pull up, Sports Betting AG, Ja Morant's next team, number 5, the Raptors, number 4, the Hawks, number 3, the Rockets, number 2, the Heat, and number 1 at plus 400, the Sacramento Kings. So there are a lot of different ways we can look at this. The first way that Carmichael Dave asked me to look at it is, would I do this deal just pound for pound based on the money? Would I do this deal and trade Zach LaVine for Ja Morant? And my initial thought, just as a quick reaction, if you will, and honestly, it's part of that is just how bad everybody looks at Zach LaVine's roster. I said yes immediately. I said yes. Then after about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, I decided that I would not do it. Okay, Ja Morant looks like I'm on Fanspo right now, 3 years left at 39.4. He's 6'2", 174, just crazy. At 26 years old, Zach LaVine, 2 years left, obviously, with that player option at 47.4. We know the pros and cons to both players. It's funny, Kyle. I keep on referencing Trae Young because the Kings reportedly were out on Trae Young over the summer. And somebody said this on the text line, and I thought it was a good shout. It's more of the, let's say, the PR way to say that maybe Ja Morant isn't the best fit. This person on the text line said, does Ja Morant fit the 6 pillars that Scott Perry always talks about? And I hate to look at, try to divulge who somebody is as a person, but I can only judge you based on what has happened. And I think it's a great question. I don't know that he does. I don't know that he does when you look at the types of players that Scott Perry seems to want to bring in. Now, the Jonathan Kuminga thing is looking less crazy every day. We don't know if Jonathan Kuminga is just playing the game right now, but everybody thought we had the same conversations. Now you have a guy in Ja Morant who did the Instagram Live thing. He's had other situations outside of the Instagram Live thing, and we know that's who he was. I don't know if that's who he still is, right? He is 26 years old now. I know he's got at least one kid, might be starting a bigger family. I don't know. On the other side, you have Jonathan Kuminga, who just wanted to play and to get paid. And we took calls in the summer about Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know, he's kind of causing trouble, causing problems, when the people that play alongside him every single day, they did not have a problem with it. They thought he deserves to get paid. And now we see Jonathan Kuminga unleashed, and it's looked pretty darn good. So we had questions collectively about Jonathan Kuminga and the 6 pillars of what Scott Perry deems to be the type of player that he wants to be a Sacramento King. That is aging well. They weren't able to get Jonathan Kuminga, but that is aging well. And there was just a little bit of bad PR because Jonathan Kuminga was trying to get paid and he was sitting out and his agent was doing too much talking, things like that. Ja Morant has actual stuff that has happened. Now, you don't have to judge somebody based on what happened. And I can say I'm saying no to Ja Morant based on on the court. But if you do bring up off the court too, then you mix that with the on the court stuff. It's just not something that I would do. I'm definitely not doing it for Zach LaVine. Kyle, it sounds like you have a couple other options that we are going to kick around here. And I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, period. I'm saying I would not do it for Zach LaVine. Definitely not right now. Definitely not right now.
So this is kind of the interesting thing, and we'll get to those trades. Because, to your point about the character issue stuff and the 6 pillars, the Grizzlies are not trading Ja Morant because of the gun stuff. The Grizzlies are trading Ja Morant because of the fighting with the coaches and the, not arrogance, because that's not fair to him, but he's said some things in the media that have not come off great, which I can only imagine what he's saying behind closed doors if that's getting to the media with the polishing and the training and all that. By the way, it's not just this most recent one where he got suspended for it. It was the end of the Thunder series saying, hey, I might get in trouble for this, but we would have came back if I had been healthy. You can go on down the list of some of the Ja Morant quotes you've seen. That's been kind of, and, now they have a new coach, and it seems like they're more committed to the coach than the player, right? So that's the reasons why Ja Morant is getting traded. It's not necessarily from the other stuff. To your point, though, about the Zach LaVine trade, because the two easy trades to make is just both teams are still trying to compete. Both are just trying to get a different taste of the same flavor. So flip Ja Morant for Zach LaVine, flip Ja Morant for Domantas Sabonis, right? We talked before, Sabonis, his perfect pairing in the front court is a Jaren Jackson Jr. That would be a great Twin Towers duo.
In Memphis. In Memphis.
But I kind of feel like both of those trades are a both team says no situation. If the Grizzlies were offered Zach LaVine for Ja Morant, I think they would also say no, just as I think the Kings might say no. If you offered Domantas Sabonis for Ja Morant, I feel like both teams would say no because it would be difficult to build around those pieces if they made the swap. It's kind of the reason why those players would be made available in the first place, is you're trying to change the construct of the team instead of get a different taste of the same flavor.
Yeah, the only way from the Grizzlies' perspective, it's not even a second draft. It's like a 7th draft. Are you willing to say, hey, Ty Jerome is we're going to go cheaper at the point guard position. We just need somebody to kind of initiate the offense. Domantas Sabonis and look, Jalen Wells, Ty Jerome, Domantas Sabonis, and Jaren Jackson Jr., we think we can do something.
And they want to pay Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen. We think we can do something. I think that's respectable. I think that team is probably better than whatever the Kings would be with Ja Morant, I'll say that.
But I also don't know if it would be any better than the Grizzlies are right now with Ja Morant. And so that's kind of where I feel like both teams would kind of say no in that situation. I feel like unless the Grizzlies are going for the teardown situation, because remember, they have all of the Orlando picks too. Yeah. So, they're in a good position. If they wanted to just sell everything and do an OKC-style rebuild, they're in a really good spot because of all the picks they got for Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
So, if the Grizzlies want to go that direction, I don't think the Kings should be in, because there's no point in compromising your long-term future for Ja Morant and Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine. I don't think that team's going to be good enough to do anything. But if this is going to be we can get a point guard on the cheap without having to give up any picks, then yeah, I feel like that's something you should definitely pursue if you're the Kings.
This is what Sam Quinn had to say about the situation. When the Kings got knocked out of the play-in tournament last season, even Domantas Sabonis lobbied publicly for a point guard to replace the since-traded De'Aaron Fox. Their solution was Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook. It's not going well. Obviously, the Kings don't need to add to their guard logjam. Any trade here would have to involve several of Sacramento's incumbent ball handlers. Would a core of Morant, Sabonis, and Zach LaVine lead to meaningful contention? The answer is probably no, though there's a bit more synergy in there than you might think. Sabonis will set screens until the cows come home. He's a good shooter, if not always the most eager one. And LaVine is obviously happy to fire away from deep. It's a potentially potent offensive group. that would be a collective turnstile defensively and remains prohibitively expensive for the next several years. If the goal is to build a champion, well, this isn't the trade for Sacramento to make. In the likelier event that the Kings mostly just want to be competitive enough to light some beams and maybe make the playoffs, you could talk yourself into this. Everything the Kings have done lately suggests they're mostly just trying to recapture the excitement of their 2023 trip to the postseason. Morant isn't as complete an offensive player as Fox was, but the concept of pairing Sabonis with a speedy point guard and some shooting has worked wonders in Sacramento before. I do think that's probably the best argument for Ja Morant, right? And it's funny because just last year I was arguing in a rare occasion where I was arguing pro De'Aaron Fox. He must have still been on the Kings, but I was arguing that I would take De'Aaron Fox over the next 5 years over Ja Morant. And when Ja Morant was kind of, back rolling along a bit, people said I was crazy. People said I was wearing purple lenses. Well, neither of them are playing right now, but I would argue that that was the correct approach. And whether or not you want to take Ja over De'Aaron Fox doesn't really matter. The point is they're close enough to, Sam's point, recapture what happened in 2023 and be, I don't know if I want to call it a poor man's version of that, because some people would still argue that Ja Morant is better. So you could say, hey, you got Ja, he's the De'Aaron Fox. I mean, and we looked it up, Kyle. Their three-point shooting percentages are fairly similar. I think in my mind, De'Aaron Fox is a better shooter, but I don't know if that is 1,000% true. But they're close enough to where it's a good enough conversation to have. And defensively, De'Aaron's a much better defender. I think if anything, that is the area where it's an obvious change. Ja, he's shooting 15% this season, but he's at 31.3 on his career for his career. De'Aaron's at 33. So he's better, De'Aaron. He's a little better.
Yeah, De'Aaron has that 1 year at 37% that definitely buoys the career average too. Mm-hmm. We'll get to the trade in a second too, but if I were just to Sam's point about like recapturing the wonders of putting a speedy point guard with Domantas Sabonis, like if I gave you a lineup of Ja Morant, Zach LaVine, Neek Clifford, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis, you would look at that and say that's fairly similar on paper to the 2024 team. And Malik coming off the bench still. And
probably better defensively than that team. Not probably, better defensively than that team was.
I mean, yeah, better than the Beam team, yes. Yeah. Better than the 2024 team, I don't know about that, because that team actually did make strides on defense.
I'm just saying Beam team.
Beam team,
I'm just saying recapturing Beam team.
I mean, I don't think that would recapture the Beam, but it would feel like something similar, right?
Yeah, that is the argument. Now, again, going back to the Beam team, what is it that everybody said? It was a down year in the West. They were the 3 seed, down year in the West, and Victor Wembanyama was in diapers. So now we have Victor Wembanyama, and we're going to talk about this later in the show. Victor Wembanyama, the teams that Allen needed to be bad are not bad. The Spurs are good. The Blazers are good. And if you want to do the put this team in this world thing, does that beam team make that Beam team ain't nobody's 3 seed this season?
Probably not, no.
Do they make the playoffs? I think
the Beam team?
Maybe through the play-in?
No, I think the Beam team would be like a 5 or a 6.
Okay.
I think the Beam team, because people forget they won 48 games, but at the end they kind of just threw a couple games away. They were a 50-win team that year. 50 wins will
Did
still.
Did they get 50 wins?
Huh?
Did they get 50?
They did not. But if they
I'm
had,
just saying.
But if they had actually had to play for something, they would have gotten to 50 wins. They just sat a bunch of people at the end of the season. But I say they would have been a 5 or a 6 probably.
Okay. And so we think this team, a different version of the Beam team. I mean, to be honest, this would have been the move if Ja was available at the time. This would have been the actual, hey, we're moving on from De'Aaron, but now we have when you're watching the Rugrats or one of these shows where it's another group of 4 kids or 4 of the main characters, but they all look slightly different, right? Instead of it's Johnny instead of Tommy, or Timmy instead of Tommy, and they all look the same, and they look at each other, and those were always my favorite episodes because it was just so funny.
Just a different animation style.
That would have been, they're wearing something different. That would have been if, hey, we're gonna make a move for Ja. We're moving on from De'Aaron Fox. Let's get Zach LaVine thing and try to turn him into a point guard in Bizarro world, and then make Malik Monk a point guard in the other Bizarro world. That's where they messed up. So a longer route, right, to get to we're redoing it with a different player, a different similar play style but different, and go from there. And with all that being said, Kyle, the character conversation, whatever, it's very simple to me. And maybe we can remove the suspension missed games if we want. It's just your health is your wealth. It's very simple to me. The Instagram Live stuff, look, man, I'm not judge, jury. I'm just here to talk shop and talk ball. I can't make this move because of Ja Morant's health issues.
Yeah, it's the shoulders and the ankles.
It's your knee bone connect. It's just too much.
It's your head, shoulders, knees, and toes with Ja Morant more than it is the. I'm gonna actually sit that joke out. Anyways, so here's kind of the idea. So let's say you can't trade Zach LaVine. You can't trade Domantas Sabonis because, as we talked about before, I kind of feel like both sides would say no if those trades were offered. Here's kind of the situation I put together.
Okay.
So
I'm ready for this.
Your trade package is revolving around your next best pieces, which are DeMar DeRozan, Keon Ellis, Dennis Schroeder, and we'll call it a protected draft pick. As in, it's never going to be a top 10. It's never going to be worse than a top 10 protected pick. Now, the Grizzlies probably don't need that, but we've talked before about the possibility of a Darius Garland trade. So maybe we 3-team reroute all the Kings stuff to the Cavs, and they get a 10-deep roster with, Keon playing offense, defense with Donovan Mitchell. They get Lonzo and Dennis Schroeder. DeRozan can offense, defense with DeAndre Hunter. Maybe they go that route and then send Darius Garland to Memphis, and Memphis is like, hey, now we've got a point guard upgrade.
They got their version of the episode of the Rugrats with a third version.
With Darius Garland instead of Ja Morant, which, by the way, Darius Garland went to Vanderbilt, so Tennessee kind of he's coming home just like DeRozan. So
this is interesting.
Yeah. So to make the money work, the Kings would have to take Max Strus, which is a bad contract. But hey, he can shoot.
Hey, you know what? So give me the lineup now. Give me the finalized lineup for your Ja Morant-led Sacramento Kings.
All right. And they get no 2026 first, unless it's in the top 4. Unless they get DeBanza or Peterson or whatever. They have to send away a first, let's say.
Not 2026.
Whatever. Whichever pick you want. Whichever pick you want.
Never 2026.
All right, whatever. Point guard, Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting guard, Zach LaVine.
Woo!
Small forward, Neek Clifford.
Woo-hoo.
Power forward, Keegan Murray.
Okay.
Still wish we could upgrade that, but we'll take what we can get.
Yeah.
Center, Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
6th man, Malik Monk.
Oh, man.
7th man, Devin Carter? Question mark? 8th man?
Let's just keep going.
Russell Westbrook.
Oh. Huh.
So we got Westbrook.
What happened to...
Huh?
The Devin Carter and then Westbrook 7-8?
Whatever. Westbrook's a point guard,
Isn't there a bigger man somewhere there?
No. You're trading Keon Ellis. You're trading Dennis Schroeder. You're trading a protected first. Yeah, so your bench unit would be Westbrook.
Wait, what about Strus? Where's Strus
Okay,
at?
yeah, you can. Is Strus going to play over Devin Carter?
Yeah.
We're gonna do that?
Yeah, we are going to do that.
We're going to play Strus over Devin Carter?
I mean... One of them, Strus
going to play the power forward?
You don't have one on that roster.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That just took a dive.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is...
Where's Isaac Jones?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Maxime.
Well, they're not playing right now.
Hey, it's time to step up.
Hey, Westbrook at the 4.
Precious Achiuwa.
Well, yeah, we'll see about Precious Achiuwa. They could sign Precious Achiuwa in this situation. They would create a roster spot.
Add Precious.
Precious Achiuwa. Maxime Reynaud.
Yeah.
Somehow Dario Saric still hanging around. You want to just send Dario out?
Yeah, just hey man, thank you though.
Grizzlies, you gotta just get rid of that roster spot. Sure, Westbrook at the 4. You got Strus, Monk, Carter,
and Precious.
Yeah.
Hey,
Drew Eubanks and his bag work.
Now again, this, and I started the segment with this. This is if Allen. I get a call. This did not happen, but I get a call from Scott Perry, and he says, Allen, we will not tank. It's not happening, so quit asking and quit talking about it. You can talk about it if you want, but it ain't happening. So what do you think about this? And obviously this did not happen. What do you think about this? Then I would say, okay, if this is what has to be done. But this is under the guise of a tank is not possible. Even if a tank is impossible, can you just stink enough for 2026? That's all. Just sit everybody, take the fine like the Jazz, and then you can do whatever you're trying to do after this draft goes by. On the other side, let's keep the conversation going. The Kings are thinking of signing who? Let's get bigger. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
The San Francisco 49ers play on Sactown Sports.